Yeah, Joe, I think we're live, right? We're
All
already.
right.
Yeah. I will just yeah, live. All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Impact this wonderful evening. Today I have a special guest with me, and we're going to be talking about an incredible topic, something I feel like is quite very important to each and every one of us. As you all know, my purpose of this show is to introduce us to people with incredible wisdom and a wealth of knowledge and inspirational story that will help us to do better in our very field of lifestyle. So today I have an amazing guest with me joining me on the show. There are people you see that they change your life on daily basis. You know, Guest I have with me today is one of those people that I admire from a distance, somebody I see I won't just see somebody I follow, but somebody I think I see as an elder brother based on what he do and
Mhm.
how he's changing the world, with his lifestyle. So today I have Joe Amaral joining me on the show this evening. Thank you so much, Joe, for being here. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Eddie. Thanks so much for reaching out. I was actually in Liberia when my wife forwarded me the invitation. I said, Denmark, a Nigerian in Denmark? We got to do it. You don't see that every day.
Oh my God, it's a pleasure. Honestly, you don't know how happy I am to really have you. First is one of the imagination. When I had a thought of this very topic, I was kind of man who I'm going to have on this show to discuss this very topic. But when I came across you, man, you are not just someone who teach kindness. You are someone who live kindness as a lifestyle. And I feel nobody else could actually talk on this more than the way you can. So I'm really happy to have you here joining me. We've already have a very nice conversation behind the scene, and I think
Mhm.
it's gonna be more better here again. So please, if you are joining us on this very broadcast, and I would like you to do us a favor and every other person to please share this message to everyone you believe that this message can easily impact their life. So without wasting time, Joe, I think we're gonna dive in straightly.
Mhm.
I've seen so much of your work, man, how much you're changing the life of people. But firstly, for most people who might like it to be seeing you for the very first time, I think I
Mhm.
would like to say a little one or two things about you. If you are seeing Joe for the very first time, Joe Amara is a speaker, a teacher, and a best-selling author of numerous incredible books. One of them is Jesusly, which like
Oh yeah,
you
that's the
have
new one.
Jesusly with you, right?
Yeah. So I've been blessed to write 5 books. So
Oh
there they are
my,
there.
oh my God. Oh, okay, you can just
So
see all
that's
the books there.
where's Jesus Lee? There it is. That's the new one, the one you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jesusly and the art of living like Jesus, understanding Jesus, story in the star, get up your ash, and more. I think more are still coming, Mr. Joe, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm writing a new one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So that is Mr. Joe for you. He's an incredible actor and a speaker, and mostly he's a philanthropist. So today we'll be talking about the power of kindness.
Hmm.
How does kindness affect our lifestyle, change our community, help us to improve in whatever we do with our life. So Joe, I will begin by let's talk about your journey to Liberia. When I say how much you're doing in Liberia, bro, it almost brought tears out of my eyes. How much smile you put
Mhm.
in the life of people who never believed somebody like you could come across their way. You
Mhm.
just came from nowhere and begin and like an agent of change in their life. How does the whole journey started, bro?
Well, I tell you, Eddie, I wasn't planning on it. I was on staff at a church of about, I don't know, we had about 2,300 people in our church here in Toronto. Very comfortable, beautiful offices, nice sanctuary, all the rest of it. And it was the dream job as far as anybody was concerned. And I don't know, I just didn't feel settled. Like I felt like my life was too easy. I said it's not fair, like so many people are struggling and here I am in this amazing place and I was thankful for it, but at the same time it didn't feel like that's where I belong. Like that was my life's purposes. Everything I've been through wasn't just to be there in one place. And so I have a decent amount of followers, on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. And I posted some of my videos. I worked in Israel on and off for about 14 years. So I did a lot of like archaeology and, Old Testament Bible teaching. And, I get a lot of pastors who say, "Oh, I love your stuff. Would you come to Denmark? Would you come to Nigeria? Would you come here?" And I said, "It's a long flight. I'm getting older. I think I'm okay." I'm just being honest with you. And then this pastor, whom I'd never heard of or met before, left a little comment on social media, and he said, "We really need your teaching in Liberia." And I saw that every day from other pastors. And I don't know what you know about Canadians, but we're very polite people. That's what we're known for, being very nice and very polite, which isn't the worst thing in the world to be known for, right? So I wrote to the guy and I said, "Oh, maybe one day." But I didn't mean it. I was just being nice. I just wanted him to feel good, like I responded to him. But I really had no intention of going to Liberia. Didn't know where it was. Had never heard of it. Mix it up with Libya. I didn't know the difference. I'm just very ignorant. And so I said, maybe one day. And he wrote back, "When? When can you come?" I thought, oh, he caught me. It's like when you see somebody at a store that you haven't seen since high school and you say, "Hey, we should get a coffee sometime." You're never going to get a coffee. It's kind of one of those experiences. And he said, "No, we'd love for you to come." And I said, "Well, like, what do you have in mind?" And he wrote me this really long email. And he said something that really, really struck me. He didn't say, "Hey, come, we'll put you in a 5-star hotel, we'll give you all you can eat buffets and we'll take a cruise." And no, he said, "Pastor Joe, the people of Liberia aren't stupid, but nobody will come here to teach us."
Wow.
And when he said that, like something in me like just broke. He said, "They fly over us and everybody goes to East Africa for safari and all that's really nice stuff." But he said, "Nobody comes here. It's, 30 hours to get here by airplane. There's no direct flights. It's very expensive. We don't have stable electricity and our network is always down. And, we'll try to feed you every day, but there's no guarantee." And he was making it sound more and more awful. And the more awful it sounded, the more I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been invited to Dubai, Singapore, beautiful countries, and the more awful it sounded, the more something in me said, you need to go. You need to go." And so I said, "Well, we're not a charity right now. I don't have any extra money, but let me go on Facebook. I have a lot of friends and I'll tell them that I want to go and let's see what happens." And within not even 2 days, we'd raised all the money for the flights, and we brought 7 suitcases filled with stuff for the kids at the school. We brought soccer balls, toothpaste, toothbrushes. We bought all brand new uniforms for the kids. And we got to Liberia and I said, "What am I doing? I'm flying to Africa and I don't even know this guy." you know, like, is he going to be there when I get off the plane? Like, I don't know what's going to happen. You're going through, I think it was like 4 or 5 different flights to finally get down to Monrovia. And I was like, wow, there he is. That's the guy from Facebook. And he said hello. And we landed. It was dark. There's no electricity in the area. It was very, very dark. And then we got to this little, very basic hotel. And then you woke up in the morning and you're like, "Oh, wow, I'm not in Canada anymore." Like,
My God.
yeah, dude, at night you couldn't see because it was quiet and it was dark. But in the
Yeah.
morning, all the motorbikes, the market, the yelling and the traffic. And all of a sudden I was like, whoa, where have I come to, And every day I was there, my heart, and my son came with me. He was young. And every day I was there, I fell more in love with the people. I fell more in love with the culture. And it didn't make any sense because there's nothing there for you. Like, you're not going to make a name for yourself. You're not going to make money. You're not going to, buy a big house. It's the opposite. It costs you a lot to go there. But every day that I stayed, my heart just got heavier and heavier with a burden to do something to help a little community. Some people get overwhelmed by poverty, when you go to a country like that and you see so much and you think, man, if I can't fix everything, I'm not going to do anything. That's people's attitudes. I said, you know what? If we can find one little community and make that community better and maybe help those couple thousand people, maybe I can't help 1 billion people in Africa, but if I can help 5,000 people, that's something. And then I can do a lot in that little area. And so that's what we decided to do, Eddie. We decided to pick this one little community and pour all of our finances, all of our efforts, all of our love into this one area. And that was April 2019. So just 4 years ago. This is a brand new thing for me.
Wow. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's so amazing when I see the number of projects, the water, the clean water you provide, the home for the foundation and the orphanage home and everything you build. Honestly, this was so amazing to see, honestly speaking, man. I just want to tell you thank you for this incredible mission you embark on. I know it's not easy to embark on a mission like this, mostly to a place where you're not used to, like you said yourself. Honestly speaking, and I just pick up something from what you said just now, sometimes when people see places like they believe, okay, I cannot do everything, then I don't have to do anything. But in your own case, you feel like, man, I'm not being able to do everything, but I'm going to pick up something, then I can change it. Honestly, that was so amazing for me. That is so astounding, honestly speaking. I have a few couple of questions that you want to say something, Joe?
No, I'm gonna say that it's important because you can get overwhelmed, right? It's a big world. There's so much need, and you're like, oh my God, I can't help everybody. So what am I going to do? And it paralyzes you, the fear of that. Instead of going, you know what? That's okay. I can help this little area and I can help it really well because I'm not trying to help the whole world. Listen, you help the 5,000 people you're called to help. I'll help the 5,000 people I'm called to help. And if we all do our little part, that's how the world gets better. Instead of waiting back for some billionaire to do it all, you can do a lot with a little you have if you just decide to focus it and let kindness be a lifestyle.
Wow, what a word. We can do something with the little we have, honestly speaking. For
Yes,
me,
sir.
that's so amazing. That's so amazing. I have a few
Mhm.
questions that I wrote down here, Jude, that I would like us to quickly hit on. I know you're a very busy person, and I really appreciate your time of being here and the wisdom that we all going to gain from you. Let's begin. What would you say is the most important thing someone can do to be kind? In your own way, you're doing
Mhm.
what you know how to do, what you feel good, what you feel attracted to do. Generally, what will you say is the most important thing anyone can do to be kind to others?
Yeah. To make people feel seen.
Wow.
At the end of the day, it's not about how much clothes can I buy you, how big of a building can I build you. That's all good and that's all great if you can do that. But I'm telling you, if you're just willing to sit with that person and make them feel seen, that's actually what that new book, Jesus is all about. And you don't have to be a Christian. I don't care if you're Muslim, if you're Jew, it doesn't matter what you are. What Jesus models for us is you just have to see people, not correct them, not try to change them, not just see them, make them feel valuable. Your time is the greatest gift you can give. Here we are, we have a little compound called the Community of Hope in Carysburg in Liberia. And, sometimes you got $50 in your pocket. That's it. It's been a bad day. And the kids, it's not about how much money you give them. It's, hey, let's find a little ball and kick it around. Let's go check on the chickens in the back. And they love to hold your hand and walk around the property. And they come up to you and they wrap their legs around you and you hug them and you tickle them and they make jokes about you. And just being with them, giving them time and looking at them, not for anything you can get out of them, but just to see them. Oh my goodness, they light up, and not just the kids. That happens with adults. When we go into ghettos, we go into some really rough areas. Yeah, I've had generals who run these ghettos who run like horrible things in these communities. But after a visit, they'll call the guy I came with, and they said that white man was crying for us when he came to visit us.
Wow.
It wasn't about we brought you sandwiches. Like he was crying for us. Like you could feel the love he had for us. And I said, listen, I'm not here to judge you. I know you're doing some things that aren't, whatever, but I'm just here to be with you. We're not going to call the police. We're not here to collect data. We're just here to let you know we see you. We know you're here and we know you want something better. And if we can, we'll do something. But at the very least, we're just going to hang out. And I was at a ghetto last year, dude, that was in a graveyard,
Wow.
and it was like above ground graves that they would open up the tops and take the skeletons out and sleep in the graves. And here I am standing on a grave, just talking to them, sharing with them why I'm there. Hey, I'm here to see you and just say hello to you. These hardened criminals, they're in tears, not because I brought them a sandwich and a papaya juice, but because I was willing to be with them. So I think the greatest thing, the gift you can give somebody is the gift of value. Just, Eddie, I see you, man. I see you, and I'm here to talk to you. I'm not looking for anything. I'm not asking you for anything in return. I just want you to know that I see you and I want to get to know you. And we see Jesus doing this with tax collectors, with women, with thieves. And he says, come down from that tree. I just want to go to your house and have a meal with you. I just want to get to know you. I want you to know that you matter to me. And so for me, Eddie, that's the greatest gift you can give anyone.
Wow. Honestly, I've never heard of this before. This just hits me like I don't know how to describe it because nobody have really said something like this. To me, that's have hit me this very well. For you to like take someone, I just want you to know that you are valued. Taking it from the concept of Jesus' lifestyle, honestly, this is amazing. Wow. Oh my goodness. You
Like you
know,
said, you never heard anybody say this. Jesus has been saying this for thousands of years. And that's why I say it doesn't matter what religion you are. Like, we're not saying to become a Christian, but if you just follow the lifestyle that he modeled, where he just went around valuing people and say, hey, I want to have dinner with you. Hey, come and follow me. Do you know who I am? Do you know what I've done in my life? Doesn't matter. I want you to follow me. I just want to hang out with you. Let's go sit down. So I'm not saying anything new here. I don't want to take any credit for it. I'm just taking what Jesus said and I'm applying it and adapting it to our culture and our time.
wow. Honestly, this is so amazing to behold. I also have one thing, that question I would also want to ask you. Sometimes people actually like want to be kind to others, but sometimes they don't even know how to be kind to themselves. If we should pick a word from Jesus' teaching, which is like, you have to love yourself. You have to love other people the way you love yourself. So the love you give to other people should be an extension from what you show to yourself. Sometimes people actually struggle to be kind to themselves. And also, I see this as a reason why they struggle to be kind to other people. How would you encourage people to show kindness to themselves so that we have enough to also show to other people?
Again, I'm going to turn the conversation to something that Jesus said. He said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Right? This is something that Jesus preached thousands of years ago. And so I think, okay, love your neighbor as you love yourself. How would I want to be loved? How would I want to be treated? How would I want people to speak about me? And so I treat people the way I would hope people would treat me. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be, this overconfident person filled with, pride to go out and help people. I just say, God, just whatever good is in me, whatever little bit of light is in me, let me just kind of reflect that onto other people. It's just like we look in our universe, there's the sun and the moon. The moon has no light source itself. All it does is it takes light from the sun and then it reflects it
Yes.
out. That's all I can do in my imperfection, Eddie. That's all you can do is spend time in the sun and take his light and then spread it to as many people as I can. And we minister to Muslims, to secular people, straight, this, that. It doesn't matter. Like, you just have to value people. If you're a human, you qualify to be shown kindness to. That's my philosophy.
Wow. What an amazing evening with me this evening, Joe. Honestly, I'm really being blessed with this conversation. You don't know how much I'm being
I'm
blessed with,
glad. I'm glad.
honestly speaking. I also want us to quickly talk like what particular moments you have experienced as an impactful moments in terms of kindness. Maybe you experience a kindness from someone or someone has shown you the art of kindness. You have something you
Mm,
would like to talk about, like somebody have relationship. Because sometimes people like you
mm.
actually show kindness to people. Hardly seen other people being kind to them. Everybody's expecting from you. I want to get from you. I want to get from you.
Sure.
You get my question.
I do. And it depends on what you're looking for out of life. Somebody might say, oh, the kindest thing somebody did to me was, they bought me a new this, or they got me a new this. And I don't value, or I don't measure a gift in Western values. I have to look at what does that thing mean to you? So it's like, Jesus talks about a woman who gave a mite, like a few pennies, and a rich man gave what was a lot, but it was a little bit to him. And he said that woman who gave such a little bit actually gave more than the rich man. So it's not about the amount, it's what the value is to the person. So one time on my first trip to Liberia, I'd never been to the jungle before. I'm from Toronto, I'm not used to the crazy, right? The off-road roads of West Africa, and we're going through the jungle and we're crossing these crazy bridges, and it's hours, and you finally get to the place. And we just had a few, I forget what they're called, like a few like containers of clothing to give to some of the kids. We brought some rice, and we just hung out with them for a few hours. And at the end of the day, we were getting ready to leave, and the chief of the village called me over, and he said, first of all, he said, no, you're welcome here anytime. You're one of us now. You never have to call ahead. You can show up anytime. You're part of our tribe. I said, okay, but the Pele tribe. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a Pele man from West Africa. And he said to me, so he gave me some fruit and some different gifts, and then he handed me a chicken, right? And I was like, oh, I've never been given a live chicken before, and I didn't know how to react. But on the drive home, the guys in the car said to me, said they only have 8 or 9 chickens in the whole village. Do you understand the wealth that he just gave to you? Because he valued your visit so much, because you saw them, you went there to be with them. And all of a sudden, I mean, no diamond ring, no car would have been equal in the value, because I knew what it meant. He was actually literally taking from his own people to give to me because he appreciated being seen. And that's one of the acts of kindness towards me that I'll take with me all the days of my life. I'll never forget that. It's not about the amount, it's what value that gift is in that person's life. And that's what really means, a lot to me.
Wow, what an experience.
It was.
Honestly, we live in a community today whereby cynicism is being promoted on daily basics. I just want to like ask Joe, in what are some of the ways you believe individuals and corporations can spread the art of kindness in their daily interaction in our world community today?
Again, it depends on what you value. So if you value things, you're going to want your company to give you a raise, you're going to want them to give you more benefits, a bigger office, all that kind of thing. For me, I've lived in big homes, I've lived in big cities, I've had lots of things. And at the end of the day, you can be in a big house and go to bed crying. You can go to bed alone. You can go to bed feeling broken. You can go to bed feeling unloved. So some people are looking for physical things to fill that void. And, we need physical things. I don't want to take away from that. But the way I receive kindness and the way I like to show kindness, and I've said this already, is by giving time. I've worked in some places where, you give so much and you feel like they're not even acknowledging your contribution. Acknowledge people, recognize their gift. Even if they're better than you, if you're the manager, tell them, say, I'm so glad we hired you. I'm so glad you're in this company. We're so blessed to have you. Now, oh, Eddie's too good. We got to get rid of him. He's showing up the boss, right? That happens. So showing kindness is by telling people the value you see in them and say, Eddie, you are amazing. I thank God every day that I hired you. How are you going to feel? You're going to feel amazing,
Amazing, yeah.
right? You'll spend $1,000, but that compliment, that boosts your confidence. You're going to carry that with you all the days of your
What
life,
is it like?
right?
Absolutely.
So that's my way of showing kindness, is speak into the person's life the value that you see is there. Don't be afraid to tell people, I want to be surrounded by people who are better than me. That's how I get better. So
Wow.
that's my take on that.
Wow. Sometimes, honestly speaking, honestly, Miss Joe, you're so full of wisdom. Sometimes people actually believe it's only two material things they can be able to show kindness to other people, but not even knowing out of what you say can actually be a way of changing somebody's life. There are people who just want to feel that sense of being valued. They want to
Yeah.
know like what they are doing is being appreciated. You know, oh my God, this is really, really amazing. I also you as a person. I've also like seen most people sometimes they kind of feel like I'm going to start being kind to people because I've been disappointed,
Mhm.
I've been blackmailed in most cases, and for
Sure.
that reason I'm going to start being kind to people. I
Mhm.
remember somebody said, "Man, there's no time for being a nice guy anymore. I'm going to stop right now because this thing is not paying very well." Like I want to ask you, as a person, has there ever been a time you feel like I'm going to give up on being kind to other people?
Oh my God, every other month.
And how do you overcome? How do you
Of
still continue?
course. Knowing that what I'm bringing to people in the end will outweigh the kindness I'm bringing will outweigh the unkindness that's being shown to me. And so if Eddie is mean to me, if one person is mean to me, so what's going to happen is I'm going to break down, I'm going to shrink back, and now thousands of people aren't going to be treated kindly because I'm allowing my own ego and my own emotions to come first. And so sometimes it's in the brokenness, in the hurts. You just got to pick yourself up out of those ashes and say, it's not fair that that entire village is going to get blessed because I had a bad day, because I feel hurt. It's a sacrifice sometimes. And you have to push through that pain. You got to push through that disappointment and say, you know what? No, I'm not letting that village miss out because this jerk over here talked to me like this or treated me like this. And, oh, people weren't nice to Joe Amaral. So now nobody's going to get blessed. Who do you think you are? Get over yourself. Be kind in spite of the hurt. And what happens is, dude, as you begin to pick yourself up and you begin to be kind, you would think it's taken away from you. It's not. It actually fills you up. The more you give of yourself, the kinder you are. Oh my God, the more your heart fills up. And although I've had, more money in different stages of my life, I'm happier now than I've ever been. I'm living in the smallest home I've ever been, but I'm happier than I've ever been. Obedience doesn't always bring you the most money, but it brings you the most joy.
Wow. Honestly, my next question was that I was supposed to ask was like, how does happiness improve our health? How does an act of being kind improve our health and happiness? You've already answered
Mhm.
that question. Honestly speaking, honestly, bro, you're so amazing, Joe. You're so amazing with the how you dish out your wisdom. Like I said before at the start of this program, and you are a practical example of what kindness means. From what I have seen and the testimonies I've read about you during my research about you, honestly, it's amazing how you change other people's life with what you do and the way you do it. And I also want to quickly ask you, I believe if I give the entire Liberia time to talk about you, they're going to write an entire book full of your testimony, how much you have changed their life in Liberia,
Mhm.
and most of the people that have come across you, because some of those people never really expect someone like you to come across their way.
Mhm.
Just a single conversation of someone who follows you online have brought
Yeah.
light to an entire community. This is the amazing power of impact. Also, I want to quickly ask another question here, Joe. You
Mm.
know, I'm pretty sure like everybody in Liberia have so much to say about you. They've benefited a lot from you. But you as a person, how has the art of being kind impacted your life?
Joy. Joy. The word's not satisfaction. The word is there's a contentment that comes when you're kind to people. I know people around me who, oh, they want to have the biggest ministry, they want to have the biggest company, and that's fine. You can go ahead and do that. And you want to post what you're doing and all these big things you have, that's fine. But when I look into a little set of eyes that I know that something I did has now made their life just a little bit better, man, there's a contentment that comes over you, Eddie. It's like, you know what? It's 30 hours to fly here. It's so expensive. It's hot. It's this. But when I look into those little eyes and I'm like, they're going to have, that's what we're called hope for Liberia. There's a little bit of hope now in them. And when they look at you and they say, thank you, Pastor Joe, and their sweet little voices, oh, I just melt. And I'm like, I can go home now. Like, it just, it gives you a contentment. And you're like, you know what? If I get nothing else in my life, if no one ever hears my name again, if I don't get any awards, I don't sell any books, it doesn't matter. That little life recognized that I played a little part in bringing them hope. I'm like, I can go to heaven now, hopefully, you know?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Honestly,
Yeah.
Joe, can you please, what's you've been on a mission on in Liberia? I don't know. Would you like to share with me one of the most inspiring experience you've had in Liberia?
Mhm. So my wife and I started Hope for Liberia January 1st, 2020, right? And then we're all ready and all excited to go and change Liberia. And then COVID hit and everything stopped like 2 months later. And we're like, oh my God, that was horrible timing. We started this charity and I can't fly anywhere. I can't go into churches. I can't go into meeting rooms. And to make a very long story short, we had bought 5 acres of land on the main road in Liberia. Liberia is a very narrow country. It's more wide than it is tall. So it's a very west and east kind of a country. And so there's a main highway that runs through the whole country. And so we bought 5 acres right on the main road. So you can't go anywhere without passing by our compound, this place called the Community of Hope. And so, we had dug a well. And we have about 4,000 people who come every month to that well. They depend on us for free, safe drinking water. And I'll sit by the well sometime and I'll watch the kids come down. I just start to cry. These kids have no shoes and, their clothes are tattered and worn and they have little buckets on their head. And I say, hello, and they get all shy and they take their water back to their mom and dad, so that's an amazing feeling. And so we built a small church and community center. I'm a big soccer fan, football fan. I'm Portuguese by birth, so football is very much.
Out of you.
I'm afraid to ask who you support.
Actually, I support Chelsea.
Who?
Chelsea.
Chelsea?
Chelsea fan.
Okay, we can still be friends. That's okay. I'm a Manchester. I'm a Man United guy. So soccer, as you know, is huge in Africa. So we decided to invest and get a satellite system and a big screen and just invite people to come and watch soccer, football at the community center, just as a way to reach out to people. And then it came time to build, we wanted to build a school for the kids because they were in it wasn't the greatest facility. And so we said, hey, let's see if we can build a school. This is 2021. COVID is raging around the world, right? And so I was able to sneak in a few flights. I went 5 times to Liberia during COVID.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so, it was tough with testing and this and masks and all that. And January 2nd, 2021, a year after we started, my wife got an email, just like she got from you, somebody we'd never met, and said, hey, we've heard about Hope for Liberia. We'd love to have a Zoom chat with you. And I wasn't really too keen on it. My wife said, oh, it's just a Zoom chat. I mean, if it's awful, it's awful. Just meet these people. I said, okay. So I won't say where they're from. They're not from Canada, but they watched one of my videos on YouTube and they saw where we went to a village and I stopped and I just had like a few bottles of water and I just started giving water to the kids and they were really shy at first and they eventually came around and it really touched this husband and wife. And they said, what are your plans for Liberia? Like you're not going to be there forever. How are you going to achieve sustainability? Really great questions. And, I had just been processing all that myself. So I was able to tell them, we want to get a farm. We want to do this. We want to do that. And they said, what are you doing next? And I said, I want to build a school. And they said, well, how much do you need? I said, well, we need 50,000 US to start right away to get the foundation in and start it going. And they said, okay, we can do that for you. And I said, what? I said, I don't know you.
Oh
It's
my.
not, we believe in what you're doing. And so 5 days later, there was $50,000 in the charity bank account. And I'm like going, wow, that's crazy. So we started the school. Well, to make a very long story short, by the end of 2021, this couple had donated over $360,000 to the charity so that we could build a school.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. You
Wow.
talk about a standout moment. This was something we just did in faith. We felt to do it. We knew that education is important. That's what lifts people out of poverty. You just can't give them a banana. You just can't give them a fish. You got to give them education so they can go out and build a better life. And in that 1 year, we raised all that money and we built the school. And now in the fall, the school is going to be completely self-sustainable.
Wow.
They've
This
raised the
is
tuition to a level. They've raised the student body to a level. We're now starting this fall, Eddie. They're going to be able to run on themselves without any outside support from us. And I said, wow, that was the dream. And so that's something that sticks out in my mind that I'll never forget.
wow. Honestly, this is so amazing.
It
Sometimes
is.
there are a lot of people, there are a lot of people of your kind of that have your kind of heart. And there are also a lot of people like this person who just jump into like to be a game changer
Mhm,
in this area. But sometimes I want to ask sometimes most of these people they find it very challenging on where to start. Like some
mhm,
like if you have just try to imagine how you're going to start that project to finish it, maybe you will not even start it. But even in the absence of not knowing how you're going to start it, you start a
yeah.
project, which like what the Bible talk about faith. So I want to ask you this question. I believe you have a very good answer to this question, Joe. There are most people who have the idea of
Mhm,
being kind, of creating a very compassionate community, making a changes in the community, but they don't actually know how and where to start from.
mhm,
What would be your advice for the set of people who really believe me? I want to be a kind person to the community,
mhm,
just like somebody else out there. And sometimes they don't really know how to project these dreams and whatever thought they have in their mind. Because I believe, personally, I believe the world is full of beautiful people that want
mhm.
to do beautiful things. How will you advise people who fall in these categories?
Sure. People look at what Hope for Liberia, with God's help, has been able to do in a very short time. And everybody's like, oh, what's your business plan? What's your ideas? And I said, listen, I had no idea what I was doing when I started. I just had a love for people that I had just met. That's all I had. I had a love and I had a vision. I knew I wanted to build a community. And if you want people to buy into your vision, you have to believe in your vision yourself. If you don't believe in it, no one's going to give you a dime. No one's going to give you a prayer, nothing. You have to believe it. It has to be so real in you. When people meet Joe, they're like, we want to give that guy money. We can see how much he loves what he's doing. And it was a joy to ask for money because I wasn't asking for it for myself. I knew that I was just a conduit that was going to bring it to people who really needed it. So I would tell people, when you have a vision, when you have an idea, you have a kindness project you want, believe in it with all your heart. And what happens is it starts to just leak everywhere you go. It starts to just exude from your body, and people will be like, whoa, you love these people, Joe. You're passionate about this. Yeah, yeah. And as I began to share out of passion and out of belief in what I was doing was making a difference, and I knew it mattered, people started buying into it.
Wow.
And it was actually easy. I would say, we need $5,000. Yeah, of course. I woke up one morning and I said, hey, let's buy 500 chickens and start a chicken coop. And my wife's like, oh no, what now? Right. She goes, that's a great idea. Well, I don't know anything about chickens. So I just went on Facebook and I said, we want chickens. And within a couple of weeks, we had all the money to build the coop and to buy the chickens. And we were providing tens of thousands of eggs. So believe in the vision. Don't do it because, oh, if I do this, this will be a great hashtag to put on Facebook. This will be, oh, people will see what I'm doing and be excited. Do it because you believe in it. And actually, at the beginning, we funded it ourselves. We took the little bit of money that we had and we put into it ourselves. And if you're not willing to sow into your own vision, how dare you think somebody else is going to? So you need to believe in it and enough yourself that you'll invest. And when people see that kind of commitment, Eddie, when they see that kind of dedication, they're like, oh, this guy's all in. He's the real deal. So that would be my advice, is believe in what you're doing. And even if you have a bigger picture, just they say in Liberia, start small, right? Small. Just take a little step, you know. Hey, we can only buy 2 acres right now. Let's buy 2 acres. We can only do one well. Let's do 2 wells or one well. And then people will be like, hey, I saw you dug a well. Do you need another one? Actually, yeah, this village needs one. Oh, how much is that? Oh, it's about this much. Oh, I'd like to give to it. And then a crowd starts to attract a crowd. But initially, you have to believe in it enough yourself. And when you do that, people will see it, and then they're going to start sowing into that vision. And then once it starts to grow, then more people come on board. And today, you know, we're in this great place, but I'm telling you, man, it was a struggle in the beginning, but if you believe in it and you live it, people will support it.
What an amazing journey and wisdom.
This
Honestly,
wisdom that you call, this is life experience, Eddie. I failed a lot. I made a lot of mistakes. I did stuff that cost us way more than it should have. I made decisions that I regretted later. So wisdom is wisdom is the outcome of a lot of failure. So you have to be willing to fail. If you're
absolutely.
too proud to fail, forget it. Stay home.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Honestly,
the
John,
truth, man. I'm just being
you know,
honest.
I'm a father of 3 kids, you know, I want to see my children, being able to continue with my kind of lifestyle, which I believe it makes me happy as a person, my way of being kind to other people. What I really want to ask you, and I believe you have a very good answer to this as well, how can we as parents raise kids that are kind to others? What are the
Oh,
things we should do to help our kids to be
mhm.
people who can change society for better tomorrow?
You have to model it. You can't put them in front of the TV, and you can't make them watch YouTube videos on how to be kind. Kids are sponges and kids are parrots. They absorb and then they simply repeat what they see their mom and dad's doing. So I can talk kindness all I want. But when my son is doing a Zoom call with me, when my daughter is doing a Zoom call with me, Dad, where are you? Oh, dude, we just came back from 3 hour drive from the jungle and we brought rice to these kids. And look, here's somebody I met today. When you model it, the children will begin to parrot it back. So, showing videos and watching videos about, that's one thing. But when you model the behavior you want your kids to do, because in their hearts, kids want to be like mom and dad. They'll never admit that, but they do. They want to be like mom and dad. And I always told my kids, when I die, and if you guys decide to get me a tombstone, or do a memorial service, never talk about the accomplishments. Never talk about, oh, he had this and he did that. Talk about the people's lives who we've changed. Talked about the communities that are in a better place because we decided to say yes to a crazy call. So if you model it, the children will follow. That's the advice I would give.
Thank you so much, Joe, for the incredible words of knowledge you have shared in this show this evening. I really, really appreciate it. And you don't know how grateful I am for your time. I know you're a very busy person, but after for all your busy schedule, you took out this time to be a blessing to everyone who is watching right now, and some other people that are going to come across this broadcast later in the future. Before I let you go, Joe, I want to also quickly talk about your Israel tour. I could already see like your ticket in October is already sold out.
Oh
For
yeah.
anyone who wants to be a part of this tour, can you just please give us a kind of like, you've been to
Mhm.
Israel over 50
48.
times?
48 times.
48 times. Okay, fantastic. You've been to Israel 48 times and it's still counting, you know.
Yeah.
And could you please give us some kind of sort of overview, a kind of overview idea, for anyone who is looking
Mhm.
forward to like to join you on this incredible journey? I believe it's a memory journey.
Yeah. So we do several tours every year, and it's an experience, especially if you're a person of faith. If you like history and archaeology, you'll enjoy it. But if you're a person of faith, and you want to be able to say, wow, this is where this miracle took place. This is where he preached this sermon. This is where he lived. When you go and you see the places, all of a sudden the Bible really does come alive. They're not just, you know, it's not like a fictional novel where places don't exist. I can get on a plane. It's close from Denmark, actually. It's very easy to get to Israel. From here, it's about 11 hours. but I can go to Nazareth, I can go to Jerusalem, I can go to the Sea of Galilee. And so I always tell people it's great to go on vacations. I would never tell people not to go. But if you want to invest in your relationship with God and your understanding of the Bible, try to catch a trip to Israel, because things just make more sense when you see them, when you feel them, when you touch them, when you taste them. When you're there, it comes alive. It's like going from, an old TV to a 4K TV. It's the same data, but wow, one is so much more alive than the other. As a Christian who's never been to Israel, you can read your Bible and love the stories of Jesus. They're great. But when you've been there, you're like, oh, I was exactly at that place in the Sea of Galilee. I know what John's talking about here. It's just next level of understanding and connection. So if people go to joeamaral.org, they can go to the tour section, and people can join us from anywhere in the world. They can just meet us at the airport in Tel Aviv and then jump on the tour, and we go around the country. And I try to take about 50 people at a time, try to keep it down to one bus if I can, so we can all travel together. And, I'll teach on location. So, if we're at a place where Jesus did something, I'll teach about the culture and what it meant to the people at that time and how it relates to us today. So it's a really great experience. I'm sure Denmark is beautiful, Canada's beautiful, Nigeria is beautiful, but Jesus wasn't physically in any of those places. He was in one place. And when you follow in his footsteps, man, the Bible just comes alive.
Wow. Honestly, I think this is actually a journey I will really look forward to experience. Absolutely.
Okay.
I've
I
read
hope
the
so.
Bible, and having like a live experience, like just what you talk about. When you're there, somebody could tell you this is what happened, this was how everything, this was where Jesus was baptized, this was where this. I think that is really, really going to be very, very incredible.
It
Honestly,
is.
honestly
It
speaking.
is.
So please, you've written 5 books, and I believe that there are a lot of people who would like to get hold on
Mhm.
these some of your product, people who would like to get in touch with you about consultation or for some advice of some like a biblical understanding more about Jesus or about your faith as a person.
Mhm.
Could you please tell us where can and how can people easily get hold on you or find you?
Sure. Well, the best way to get the books is Amazon, because Amazon is in pretty much every, continent in the world. So if you're in where you are in your part of the world, if you're in Europe, in the UK, lots of African countries, you can just go to Amazon and type in my name, Joe Amaral, and you'll see all the 5 books pop up, and you can read about, what they're about and stuff like that. And that's probably the best and quickest way to get a hold of the products. And people can also go on YouTube, and they can punch in my name, Joe Amaral, and you'll find there's hundreds, like I'm not even exaggerating, there's hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel. And some of them are about what we do in Liberia, and a lot of them are me in Israel teaching a Bible story where it actually took place. So if you want to see the Sea of Galilee, if you want to see the Mount of Olives, the Garden of Gethsemane, there's lots of teaching videos on there. Not everybody can afford to go to Israel. You can go to Israel for free by watching me on YouTube.
Wow, amazing. Joe, there is a question I do always ask every of my guests that come on my show, but I feel like I don't even have to ask you this question because I already know the answer, but I will still say it anyway.
Mhm.
What impacts would you like to make in the world, or what would you like to be remembered for? Like when I was going through your website, and I saw something you wrote. There was a story you shared how you went to a blind community,
Mhm.
in Liberia. Even
Yep.
if those people could see you, but the sound of your voice could make them recognize you.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, man, this just brought some chill on me, bro. Honestly speaking, I want to ask, how would you like to be remembered after you've done your time here?
Just as someone who loved people.
Wow.
Didn't matter what financial stage they were at in their life. It didn't matter what country they were from. It didn't matter what lifestyle they lived. They're like, you know what, man? Joe loves people. Joe was Jesusly. He modeled that behavior. He made people feel like they mattered. You know, I'm 53 years old. I've been here for a few years. I've been able to do a lot of great things in my life, but at the end of the day, never think of yourself higher than you ought. Don't hold what you've done over people. Always put yourself where people are at and just talk to them, look to them in the eyes, be with them in that moment. I just want to be remembered as a person who loved that Joe guy. He was funny, but he loved people, and not where I lived or what I had or what I did, just how I loved. That's how I want to be remembered. And that's the honest answer.
Wow. Thank you so much, Joe, for your time. And I really appreciate the time you spent with me here. And I also really appreciate you for honoring my invitation. I'm really, really deeply grateful and humble for this for honoring my invitation. And I believe this is going to be a foundation of our conversation. I really, really appreciate, and I want to say a very big thank you to you. And I look forward to have a better conversation with you again another time. Probably maybe joining you in Liberia or in Israel in one of these trips, who knows? Like
Who knows? Who knows?
I really
Yeah,
appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time,
my
Joe.
pleasure.
I wish
My
you a
pleasure.
better day. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining this broadcast. And I believe we are all blessed from this beautiful episode from Joe Amaral. I believe we got a lot of tons of wisdom from this conversation. And I hope that this will make a very huge change in our life, just as I want it. Because my purpose of this show is to bring people who can be able to bless us with our words of wisdom and knowledge in order for us to do better in our own life. So I want to wish you a beautiful evening or a beautiful afternoon, wherever you're watching me from, until I come across your way on my next episode. Stay tuned and God bless you. Thank you so much, Joe, and I appreciate my regards to the family, bro.
Thank you.